Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to dive into something you probably do for a third of your life, but rarely think deeply about. Every single night, a hidden biological operating system dictates the quality of your future. We often think of sleep as just this simple powering down, right? Like a passive state of rest where consciousness just kind of fades to black. But the reality? The reality is far more dynamic, deeply interconnected, and absolutely vital to your survival. Right beneath the surface of your awareness, invisible biological forces and biomechanical realities are secretly shaping your health trajectory, your cognitive longevity, and even the speed at which your body ages. Let's dive in. To really understand this, we have to start with a profound, yet super everyday biological mystery. Have you ever noticed that you're actually slightly taller in the morning than when you went to sleep? This one simple fact reveals a completely hidden truth about human anatomy. Your spine doesn't just passively rest in bed. It actively undergoes an intense systemic mechanical repair sequence. Think about it. Throughout the day, gravity, stress, and just simple movement literally compress the discs in your spine. It squeezes out fluid and creates microscopic wear and tear. Sleep isn't just rest, it's an active architectural rebuild. But and here's the massive catch that dictates whether you age quickly or slowly. Your body can only execute this crucial physiological recovery if your physical environment actually allows it. So, what's the exact biological mechanism behind that height change? It's a process called osmotic imbibition. Basically, when you lie down, when you finally lift the punishing weight of gravity off your frame, your intervertebral discs act like dehydrated sponges in a desert finally getting rain. They absorb fluid, oxygen, and vital nutrients from the surrounding tissues to rehydrate and repair all that microscopic damage from the day. But this awe-inspiring cellular survival mechanism has one huge vulnerability. This essential repair can literally only happen if your environmental scaffolding, meaning your mattress, maintains your spine in a highly specific geometric state. That brings us perfectly to the hidden biomechanics of deep sleep, the mechanical prerequisites for biological restoration. When you transition from standing up to lying horizontally, the intradiscal pressure inside your spine plummets to roughly 20% of your normal standing levels. 20%! This massive drop in hydrostatic pressure is literally the biological switch that turns off your daily survival mode and flips on longevity and repair. It creates this low compression environment that is absolutely mandatory for your spine to heal. Without hitting this 20% state, your discs just remain compressed. They're slowly starving of nutrients. And over years of poor sleep, this silently accelerates tissue decay and aging. Now, achieving that low-pressure state requires something called neutral spinal alignment. In neutral alignment, your paraspinal muscles, that dense network of fibers working all day just to keep you upright, they finally experience profound surrender. They power down. But contrast that with mechanical misalignment. If your sleep surface distorts your spine in any way, your nervous system instantly detects a threat. It sounds a silent alarm, locking your muscles into a state of sympathetic tension and guarding. You might be completely unconscious, but your brain, it is fighting a literal war to stabilize your spine. You get stuck in a localized survival mode that completely blocks deep physiological recovery. That is exactly why you can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up inexplicably exhausted. Understanding this biological war reveals a massive paradigm shift. Let's look at the great mattress firmness myth and shatter some really outdated medical advice. You've almost certainly heard this outdated myth before. If you have back pain, sleep on a hard surface. Well, human biology did not evolve for perfectly flat, unyielding surfaces. Your spine is not a straight metal rod. It's an incredibly complex structure with 3 dynamic, natural curves. A surface that's too rigid forces those natural curves completely flat. That creates massive pressure points that end up crushing the very tissues trying to recover. Contemporary biomechanical research definitively proves that medium, firm surfaces, ones that contour to your body while still pushing back against gravity, are the true scientific sweet spot for optimizing neutral alignment. The population data on this is wild. It reveals a silent epidemic of self-inflicted pain based entirely on our sleep surfaces. Look at this. A staggering 60.7% of people sleeping on overly soft mattresses report significant low back pain. The biology here is undeniable. A soft surface creates a hammocking effect. Your heavy pelvis sinks deep into the material, which violently reverses your natural lumbar curve for 8 straight hours. No wonder it hurts. But overly firm mattresses fail almost as often, with over 37% pain prevalence. Why? Because they literally suspend the lumbar spine in midair, forcing your muscles to aggressively guard those unsupported joints all night long. The true danger of these mattress extremes isn't just morning stiffness, though. It's something way more insidious: microarousals. When a surface is too firm, high pressure concentrates on your hips and shoulders. This restricts circulation and literally pinches nerves. So what happens? Your brain panics. To save your joints from localized tissue death, your brain forces you to momentarily wake up just enough to shift positions. You won't even remember these awakenings, but they are happening hundreds of times a night. These microarousals violently fragment your sleep architecture, silently destroying the deep sleep stages that are required for immune repair and cognitive longevity. And this constant nighttime battle leads us directly into the silent anatomy of decay, how invisible structural failure actively ruins your sleep. Because here's the thing, even if you purchase the perfect medium firm surface, time and physics will eventually compromise your biological health. The deception of modern mattresses is that they fail from the inside out in a slow-motion biological disaster. In year 1, you have optimal structural resilience, but by year 5, this invisible collapse begins. Microscopic foam cell rupture. Thanks to your body heat and the cyclic compression of your weight night after night, the microscopic walls of elastomeric foams literally break down. Fast forward to year 8, and the steel coils underneath are suffering profound metal fatigue, completely losing their pushback tension. The terrifying reality is that this cellular and mechanical failure happens deep inside the bed, way before the surface actually looks worn out to the naked eye. In fact, the critical scientific threshold for catastrophic support failure is astonishingly small. It's exactly 1.5 inches. That's it. If your bed has an unweighted indentation that exceeds just 1.5 inches, it has lost its structural integrity. It is no longer a tool for recovery. It is an active structural hazard. It is literally locking your body into misaligned positions that strain your ligaments and pull on your spine for thousands of hours every single year. So, how do you know if you're sleeping on a collapsed scaffold? Let's move into diagnosing your sleep environment and listening to your body's mechanical feedback loop. Your body is constantly generating data. Every morning, you just need to know how to decode the warning signals. If you wake up incredibly stiff or in pain, but that pain mysteriously fades within 15 to 30 minutes of walking around, your body is telling you a very specific, desperate story. This is the definitive diagnostic morning pain pattern. It means your pain isn't from a daytime injury or just normal aging. It means your muscles were forced to work all night long in a sustained attempt to stabilize your spine against a failing mattress. Simply moving around in the morning releases that overnight muscular tension. You can actually run a really simple scientific experiment on your own life to prove this. We call it the hotel test. If your systemic morning inflammation and back pain just magically vanish when you sleep in a hotel, in a guest room, or even on a different couch, and then rapidly return the very first night back in your own bed, well, you've successfully isolated the root cause. Your mattress is the specific variable triggering your pain. We absolutely must look at these red flags, not as minor inconveniences, but as definitive signs of systemic harm. Visible sagging over 1.5 inches, experiencing that 15 to 30-minute morning pain pattern, constant tossing and turning, or literally feeling the internal mechanics of the bed. When a mattress hits that 7 to 10-year functional lifespan, it is no longer just old. It is fully transitioned from being a supportive tool into a profound health liability that is actively stripping away your restorative sleep. Let's zoom out now and look at the interconnected biology of health, from physical support to systemic recovery. This is where we see exactly why mechanical support matters so deeply for the future of your brain and body. Everything connects into this extraordinary nightly biological cascade. It begins purely with physics. Proper spinal alignment allows your deep paraspinal muscles to finally surrender. Because they relax and those pressure points vanish, your brain doesn't need to trigger those destructive microarousals. And because you stop waking up, your nervous system can finally shift out of survival mode, plunging you into deep, uninterrupted sleep. Only in those deepest trenches of sleep can your brain effectively clear out inflammatory toxins, rebuild neuroplasticity, and flood your system with the exact hormones that actively slow aging. It's one continuous, remarkable chain reaction, and it all begins with your physical alignment. And this reveals the ultimate truth of human physiology. Health is not just a collection of separate, isolated habits. Health is the emergent result of countless interconnected biological processes occurring every moment of every day. How you support your spine physically dictates how you sleep. How you sleep dictates your hormonal balance. Your hormones dictate your mood, your emotional resilience, your systemic inflammation, and ultimately how your brain and body age. Everything is deeply, irreversibly intertwined. Your sleep environment isn't just a place to crash.
It's the hidden architectural foundation of your future. When you truly understand the profound biomechanics of how your body recovers, you stop treating sleep as a passive luxury and you start treating it as the ultimate operating system for human flourishing. So we'll leave you with one final thought to reconsider as you prepare for rest tonight. What invisible biological forces are shaping the quality of your life every single night?